What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this edition of Kriegs Korner, Corner with the K. Today, I am joined by one of the longest membered Vendetta employees. His name is Jackson Law, J-Law 1995 on Twitter. Jackson, what's going on today?
Nothing much, man. Just staying busy, working. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So, Jackson is one of the guys that's on pretty much everything on the site related. He's the co-host of Tandemonium, co-host of Toast Time, and and then he runs pretty much he's like the main contributor to the YouTube page and getting our videos up. But that's kind of going to be a later in the interview. But why don't you tell me a little bit of how you got to Vendetta, your introduction into like the site and like the way it's grown in the last however long you've been here.
Yeah, so I actually knew Trey before I came to Vendetta. Him and I met at another website that we both wrote and covered the NFL for. And I worked there for a little bit, just as like an unpaid intern, kind of how most most people do when they start out, obviously. And yeah, I met Trey there, and Trey from the beginning was always like, yeah, this Jackson dude, he seems pretty good. He seems like someone that can be molded into someone. And I was always appreciative of Trey, because when I walked in to that environment, Trey seemed like basically the guy that kind of led the team. Like, there was people above him, obviously, but he seemed like the guy that was really on the ground, really dealing with people, whipping people into shape while he was doing his own thing. And then Trey leaves that place, and I stay there for a little bit longer. That's like 2017 into 2018, I want to say. And then 2019 rolls around. I leave that other place because I was starting my master's program. I was getting my master's in history because I wanted to teach history. And I just dropped it because I was like, I'm not gonna have enough time to do it. And I wanted to leave from there anyway. And it seemed like everyone else had started to abandon ship at this other place too. It's still there. They still do like a lot of NBA and a lot of other stuff. But their NFL corner, their NFL group, there's like one guy that was left from when I was there. And he's like the only guy that does anything anymore. He's like it. They have another guy that covers like the NBA that they brought in to do NFL stuff, but that's literally it. It's like two or three guys for their NFL now, covering the NFL. And so 2019 rolls around. Trey hits me up on Twitter because like I kept tabs with him because I liked Trey. So when he left and he started Vendetta, I followed Trey personally on Twitter. I followed his website, the website Vendetta Sports Media. Followed That's Some Cheese, his podcast that he started way back when. Um, and so, yeah, he just hit me up in late 2019. It was in September. I remember it because it was actually on my birthday that he DM'd me and messaged me, "Hey, would you want to come write for Vendetta?" And he caught me in a good mood. I was having a great day. It was a great birthday. And so I talked to my wife about it. I said, listen, I know I'm in the middle of this. And I talked to Trey about it too. I said, Trey, I'd love to come back because I've been out for about a year from writing and covering the NFL. I also wanted to cover the NBA, and I wanted to have the freedom to do things that I wanted to do because I felt like I had more to contribute than what I did at the other place where we were at. And Trey was fully open-minded. He understood. He worked with me kind of the first I was in my final year, so I just had 2 semesters left when I joined Vendetta, going from 2019 into 2020. And so Trey, and I told him, I said, listen, I'm still in my master's program. I don't know how much time I can give you, but I'll give you everything I can as long as I'm here. And he's like, that's fine. And so he worked with me. He was patient with me. I'm always grateful for that. And I've always just tried to, pay that back, because he said it back at the other place. He said it when he wanted to bring me on. And so fast forward to early 2021, I've seen a lot of growth from the company. I've seen us go from just a few thousand views a month to, 100 times that now, it feels like. It's weird because we're getting in a position as a company now to where we're no longer, it's like one of these days we'll get there. It's turned from one of these days to any day now.
Yep.
And eventually that any day now is going to be that day. And the way that it's been trending, 2021 is probably going to be that day. There's going to be days in 2021 where it's going to be absolute wins for the company. And when the company wins, it's everyone that's involved with the company wins.
Yeah. Trey's been
So,
saying that this
so
is
yeah, I've been
the
around the site since 2019.
yeah, Trey's been saying this is
Yeah,
going
go
to be
ahead.
the year of Trey. And he's been doing this for a while, and obviously you were you're one of the first guys to be here in early 2020 or late 2019. So like you kind of alluded to before, the company has kind of grown so much. I can only speak for myself. I got here in early late January, but it seems like I was last like on that train of everyone coming in for the intern class and all that. But what would you
Mhm.
say to the people that are starting up here and maybe are just kind of they're either too involved or they're not involved enough? Like if like my primary issue I'd say is like the Slack seems to be going crazy at all times, and it comes a little hostile. And I notice more recently, now that I'm paying attention a little bit more, is that you stay out of the dirt, so to speak. You're not chopping it up with everyone. When things are getting bad and hostile, you kind of just like let it play out. Is that what you recommend, or do you think for the newer guys like getting it up in the mix and I don't want to say starting fights is like the way to go?
I For me personally, it's just the way that I operate. Like I'm not afraid to like get in the mud and argue with someone if I think that their opinion is stupid and it's just so outlandish, because that's just who we are. To work at a company like Vendetta, you have to have that personality, and to work in this business you have to have that personality, because one of these days you're going to come across somebody that's going to have a difference in opinion. You're going to have facts to back it up, and they're going to have facts to back up their side, and so you're going to butt heads. And I know we talked about, we'll get into it later, but when you talk about the MVP race right now in the NBA, there's going to be a lot of people that have a lot of takes, and sometimes they're going to be good takes and sometimes they're just going to be they're going to be stubborn and hard-headed. But for me personally, like a lot of the conversations that I see, they delve further away than what uh I would be like, what I'm comfortable in. So if anyone that was starting out here, I would say just find where you're comfortable. And if you want to type something but you're not sure about it, it would probably be best, I don't want to say it would be best not to say it, because it just kind of depends on what it is. I just be good at reading the room, is I guess is what I have to say. Is
I
that
love
there's
that.
times to jump in and there's times to jump in, there's times to attack someone, there's times to throw your facts, throw your opinions on the table, put yourself out there, and make a stand. And there's other times where you got to recognize that it's not worth it. This isn't. I'm spending more time arguing with someone in Slack, and during that time, like for me personally, I could be like editing a video or recording the video, or I could be watching a game and taking notes, or I could be writing an article or doing research for an article. There's literally 100 things that I could be doing, and you're going to make a better impression if you put your nose to the grindstone and you pump out not just a large number of articles, but good articles that make Trey happy, articles that are completely green on the SEO. You hit that nail on the head. As long as you're hitting the SEO, then you're pretty much fine. You got free reign to do whatever you want on the site. Just make sure that the SEO is green. If you invest a little bit of time into that, then you're going to get on everyone's good side. And yeah, you're still going to butt heads with people. I've butted heads with a lot of people on here, and sometimes, the arguments can be friendly. Sometimes the arguments can get a little bit hostile. But that's just the work environment. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. So going back to you were talking about like staying involved and picking your battles, and it's something that I struggled at in the beginning. I was very much trying to be in the mix on everything, and it all kind of stems from one ridiculous take. And I, I don't really want to, whatever. So one person here, I refuse to say names anymore. He wanted to put greatest athlete wrestlers in the greatest athletes of all time category, and that kind of like, and I very vehemently disagreed with it. I wanted to have him on. Things took like a crazy turn, and from that point on, I just felt that like for the type of site that we were, like contributing and mixing up in the Slack was the way to go. I think I learned probably in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, probably no one cares what I have to say. Not that like in a bad way or diminishing myself, but like everyone has an opinion, and it's just like what there's no point in just fighting with everyone just to fight, especially the thing that's weird to me, and it's probably like because of a site like this where we're fully capable of no one's ever meeting each other, that everyone can do this on their own, and you don't really see these people in the office, or you don't meet them, so you don't really get to see what they're like when they're not on full tilt. And I think that's
Mhm.
important for who I am, at least, is that like you need to understand that I'm pretty much I'm if I don't like you, I'll let you know, but I'm down to kind of just like chop it up and hang out, and I'm down to have an honest conversation. But if you're just going to come with stupid statements and then not want to have a conversation about it or debate about it, that's kind of where I draw my line.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage.
It's been we Jackson alluded to the MVP thing earlier, and that's kind of been like one of the most recurring themes. So I want to get into a little bit into the NBA
Mhm.
and some NFL stuff. And it seems like everyone at our site, especially the NBA writers, have an opinion on who the MVP is, and it pretty much just circles around James Harden. Literally, Dakota's written an article, Alex written an article, I think Scott's written an article. Everyone's written an article on who they think should be MVP. But Jackson, who do you think should be MVP?
Well, there's like some caveats with who I think should be MVP. Until he got injured, I had Joel Embiid as my MVP. I thought Philly was having a wonderful season, and part of being the MVP is being valuable. It's in the name, for goodness sakes. So and what I and what how I interpret that is that if you take that person off that team, then that team not only isn't as great of a team without him, but they're an awful team. And when Joel Embiid was injured, they were like 1-4, 1-5 this season when Joel Embiid sat down, and they were over 20 wins and in single digit losses when he was healthy. That's huge. That's incredible. And he was balling it up, and he was playing great during those times. So it was really unfortunate to see him go down. Right now, I would say Nikola Jokic is my MVP because
Ooh.
again, that Nuggets and the caveat with them is the Nuggets need to be a higher seed by the time the season ends and playoffs come around. I think they've got to leapfrog the Lakers definitely, and they got to be close to the 3 seed because the Lakers right now are vulnerable of dropping because you have LeBron and AD that are down. Jokic leads the Nuggets in pretty much every statistical category: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, efficiency numbers, 3 point, everything. He's leading them in it all. And that's MVP stuff if your team is if you're carrying your team to a top seed in the West. So I think if they can leapfrog the Lakers and they can keep it close to the 2 or 3 teams, the Suns, the Clippers, maybe even the Jazz, maybe they go on a win streak. Maybe those 3 teams struggle a little bit to end the year, and the Nuggets get hot. They just made a big trade for Aaron Gordon. He looked really good in his debut. So, but I think that right now, if I had to give it to someone, Jokic, it's leaning towards Jokic, and even then after that, it's hard because I guess Harden would be third, but even then, it's like Harden the best player on his team? Like I know he's playing great right now, but he's also got Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant's been out for an extremely long time. And I know this because I drafted Kevin Durant in my fantasy team, and my fantasy team is struggling because I also had Karis LeVert, who thankfully they found out in the trade about the mass in his kidney, and he was able to get that removed, and he's back playing. Very happy to see that, not just because he was on my fantasy team, but because
You're a human being.
he's an excellent basketball player, and he's a human being. Yeah, you don't wish anything on that. It's like, yeah, dude, take all the time you need. He could have missed the entire season, and no one would have thought a second about it. But he's back and he's balling and he's doing a good job. But I guess Jokic right now. Now, if Embiid comes back and he continues to, and they pick up right where they left off, and the Nuggets kind of Jokic continues to do good, but the Nuggets kind of struggle, then I think that's going to be what holds Jokic back from getting an MVP.
I think an important factor in this, and Alex Schick pointed it out in his article, was that everyone's just kind of forgetting about how the first few weeks of the season went for Harden, and that he literally was the most miserable human being on earth, eating his way out of Houston, whatever you want to say. He wasn't playing well. He was very much wanted to be out. And I guess that is kind of like an interesting caveat. But if we're going like most valuable player to a team, I tend to agree with you. And it's because like take away the one player from the team. My only like little interesting factor in that would be, LeBron's probably the most valuable player in the league every single year. And for whatever his team is, and he doesn't get it every year. So the award kind of is just like, I don't know if it's meaningless, but it's just like, it never, no matter who it is, it never feels right.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of things that go with it. And it's not just like, I would agree. LeBron, it would, if we were going on just that alone, LeBron would win it every single year because he takes a terrible team to a playoff team the very next year. That's the definition of being valuable. But it's also team success and personal success in the regular season. Also, it's got to be someone that elevates their team to a top seed, personally plays well, helps his teammates play well. So to me, that means like a lot of assists. Your teammates are having career years also. And then teams, and so there's a lot of factors that go along with it. But a lot of times it's a popularity thing or it's a narrative thing. It's who they want to see win it, what makes a good story, what gets good ratings. That happens all the time. And honestly, MVPs, the only MVP that really matters is finals MVPs. That's really, I think, what people are starting to pay more attention to that now, because KD's got the one MVP, regular season MVP, but he's a two-time NBA Finals MVP, meaning the man's got 2 rings, and that's all people pay attention to now is rings.
Perfect transition from the guy who's been on more podcasts than anyone else here. We were talking about ratings, and now you're talking about rings. Both two things I want to talk about when it comes to super teams. Dacota, he wrote a post the other day saying that Adam Silver should try and like abolish a super team and step in and not allow these mega trades to happen. And pretty much he doesn't want to see a Brooklyn Nets team do well because they're just picking up all these buyout players. I don't think I know where you stand on this. So give me your take. Are you for the super teams, against the super teams?
I mean, I had this conversation with some friends yesterday because when Dakota's article came out, I was at the golf course with some friends, and so we were chatting it up and talking about it. We were all reading it and discussing it. But I don't agree with Dacota on the sense that Adam Silver should step in and stop that from happening. I understand he's the commissioner and technically it's a business, but I think that's bad for business if he's stepping in and stopping this from happening. And it's also not like that it's 2015 or 2014. You've got all these guys, you don't have Portland Trailblazers, LaMarcus Aldridge. You don't have Lob City, Blake Griffin. and you don't have MVP KD, you don't have James Harden that's dropping 40 points a game for a 20 game stretch. You don't have Kyrie, which those three guys are still in their prime technically, but Aldridge and Griffin and even DeAndre Jordan, they're way past their primes, and they're just names to have. It's almost like if you've ever played 2K and you get like 10 years into 10 15 years into a simulation, and you just need to fill up your roster, and there's like a guy that was in his second or third season when you started 2K, and he's like a 70 overall in his 18th season, and you sign him on a 1-year contract. This is what that is. They'll contribute because they're big names in their box office, but at the end of the day, the success or failure of the Nets starts with their 3 stars and their coaching staff.
Yeah,
and
I 100% agree.
It happens. Super teams happen. Like it's nothing new. Everyone's like, almost everyone my age and younger has grown up with super teams, and it started with the Boston Celtics when they made the trades for Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. Or no, excuse me, they had Paul Pierce. KG. I meant to say Kevin Durant. Not Kevin Durant. Golly, Kevin Garnett. Can't get the names straight today.
So much NBA talk.
KG and Ray Allen when they made the trades, and so then they went on and they won a chip, and then the fluidity started when LeBron convinced Bosh to go down and team up with D Wade in Miami. Then ever since then, it's been and people talk about, everyone's teaming up to try to stop LeBron. Well, it's because LeBron's teaming up with other all-stars. That's the only other way you're gonna beat LeBron, unless unless you're Greg Popovich and you got 3 aging Hall of Famers and a young Kawhi Leonard. Was really no way to beat him.
100%. And the running jokes on Twitter is you need all this to beat LeBron, and he's 36, however old he is nowadays. And it's LeBron. They're called LeBron sexuals or LeBron stands, whatever you want to call them. They just find any excuse to try and make LeBron better, and they're going to use a super team against him. Meanwhile, not only was he was like I want to call him the first guy because he signed with the Heat and made that decision versus the trade. Trading's a little bit different. They thought as a franchise, and we were not in that stage yet. But when LeBron went to the Heat, the decision, Chris Bosh ended up coming. They were the first manufactured super team, and via free agents and all that. And it's never gone back since. LeBron did it for 1 year, went back to Cleveland to win a title, and then immediately went to LA and got Anthony Davis to form his own super team. And if you're not going to tell me that those two can stack up against any top 4 in the league, it's lunacy. They're 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA on one team that's going to win. And obviously the Lakers signed Andre Drummond. He's kind of falls in that same situation where he's not the Andre Drummond of the past. We've seen what he's like when he gets passed around to all these non-Piston teams. But
I saw a quote where someone said, I think it was a league executive, they didn't say the name, but it said Drummond could get you 30 and 20 a night and have absolutely no impact on the game whatsoever.
I saw
and
that.
I 100% agree with that statement. That man could get a quadruple double and be in the 20s on everything, and still his team will lose.
It is funny. So the way it's going to look like it's shaking out is, actually, I would say it's probably be a Nets Lakers finals, because much like Tom Brady, I don't ever bet against LeBron, especially as much as I dislike LeBron and as much as I dislike both of them. But
yeah, you can't count them out until they're actually out.
Exactly. So do you think it's going to be Nets Lakers? Do you think anyone else slides out of the West to rally with them?
I think it's going to be Nets Lakers. I know a lot of people like the hot thing. I even think Jalen Rose may have said about Miami coming out of the East now as the favorites for trading for Victor Oladipo. I don't see that happening. That's not the case. There's no way you can beat a fully healthy Nets squad that's got Kevin Durant and Kyrie and James Harden, and then of course their support players like Harris, who's just a sharpshooter. I still got the Nets. I had the Nets coming out of the East before they got the James Harden trade, before they made the James Harden trade. And ever since the James Harden trade and seeing it mesh so well together and seeing Harden turn more from a scorer into a playmaker, almost as good, if not better, of a point guard this season than what Kyrie has been for the Nets. It's been interesting to watch. And yeah, we've seen it before, like out west with the Lakers, with LeBron. We've seen LeBron in the past kind of falter, take it easy in the regular season in the past, and then kick it up into second gear and go forward and just run through the playoffs. I imagine that would happen also this year. I like the Nuggets. Obviously, I think they're one of the more well-rounded teams, and I think the Jazz they're hot right now. They're still hot. It's incredible to see Donovan Mitchell play the way that he's playing, but I don't know. Until I see someone knock out the Lakers, I'm gonna have to roll with the Lakers.
Yeah, I happen to be on the same page with you on that. Where, first of all, going back to the Jazz thing, it feels like they've been hot for 3 months, but they still get this little asterisk because the regular season doesn't really matter in the NBA until like we get towards the last like 20-ish games and like the seeding really starts to shake out. But yeah, I mean they just haven't. They've been hot, and it's just like, when are they going to be good, or when are they going to be considered good, or it's just like, are they just on a crazy win streak? But it's one of those things where I think, as much as we want to say other teams are getting hot in the West, all roads run through LeBron. You have to beat LeBron to make it into, the NBA Finals, and so it's going to be, at least we know one side's going to be the Nets. Whoever from all the talking heads can say whatever they want, but you're not going to beat a team with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. I don't see how it's possible. All right. I want to transition a little bit quickly into the NFL. Friday, all the crazy trades went down. What is going to happen with the 49ers? They trade up for 3, and then 10 minutes later, they say that Jimmy G's their guy. What's going to happen there?
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I still think they take a quarterback, and it's possible that both are true. They take a quarterback, but Jimmy G's their guy for this year. Kyle Shanahan, when they traded for Jimmy G, he sat most of that season that he was traded to the 49ers, and it's because he didn't know the offense. And Shanahan wasn't about to roll a quarterback out there set up for failure, because he didn't want Jimmy G to fail. He wanted him to learn the offense, and when he finally learned the offense, he came out there and they started winning games, ended up getting to a Super Bowl eventually. But I still think that it's possible. And then, of course, everyone likes seeing these rookies rolled out, especially like top draft picks and quarterbacks. You like to see them roll out there and play their first season. But that's not always the case. It used to be a long time ago. You didn't do that. Aaron Rodgers sat 3 or 4 seasons behind Brett Favre before he finally got the starting job in Green Bay. Patrick Mahomes sat a year behind Alex Smith.
What a crazy statement.
Which is crazy. You see how good Patrick Mahomes is. Andy Reid knew. It's like, listen, we like this guy. We want him to be our quarterback of the future, but he's not ready yet. And sometimes you get guys that perform well in their rookie season, like Joe Burrow was doing pretty good before he went down with an injury. Justin Herbert went down. And sometimes you get someone out there that looks like Tua Tagovailoa with my Dolphins, where he looked great sometimes, and other times it looked like he looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked like he was struggling out there, and that happens. And there's a lot of things that go with it too. A lot of people, I think, don't know the severity of his hip injury that he had. It was the same hip injury that Bo Jackson suffered, and that put him out of football.
Yeah.
One of the greatest athletes of all time, probably could have gone to the Hall of Fame in 2 sports with the NFL and MLB. But yeah, it's the same hip injury. It's a hip injury that you get in a really serious car crash. You don't get it playing football. Bo Jackson got it, and Tua got it. Tua's advantage was he had 2020, 2021 modern medicine to help him with that. And Bo Jackson had 80s medicine. And we've come a long way in 30 years.
It is crazy to see how much everything's going around.
Yeah, and whoever they take there, they've got so many options. I like Justin Fields. Zach Wilson will probably. It all depends on what the Jets do. Are the Jets going to stick with Sam Darnold? Do they pick like a skill position player there? Although 2's kind of high for a skill position, so maybe they go with like Penei Sewell, try to get him some protection. Maybe because since the 49ers jumped up, maybe someone like the Panthers could hit the panic button and be really aggressive on draft day. The Jets move back to, I think the Panthers have the 8th pick right now. Maybe they move back to 8, some more draft capital, more first round picks, because the Dolphins got a haul for that number 3 pick. And then they ended up trading one of the picks they got. They ended up trading it to jump back up into number 6, because the Dolphins, it was really weird because they went from 3 to 12 to 6, which, I'm being a Dolphins fan, I'm cool with that, because they basically got an extra like 3rd round pick to move back, and an extra 1st and a 3rd to move back like 3 spots, to move back 3 spots.
And especially if you have your quarterback, if the Tua's the guy, then this, it's obviously Vendetta is a super football oriented site. There's a lot of draft day coverage, so and like college scout coverage and all that stuff. So I've been trying to read up, and I'm not so much of like a scout guy, or I'm not like a number guy, but there are enough people here that kind of like lead me in the right direction. And first of all, since you brought up the Jets pick, I pray they trade back and do something like you just talked about with the Panthers. I like Darnold. I don't think that bringing a new quarterback in with Salah in his first year, a defensive-oriented coach, is going to do anyone any favors. The Jets are still at least like 5 to 6 years away from being like a competent football team and challenging that division. So like for me, burning Sam Darnold is not the idea, and he's going to go somewhere else and do well, most likely. Like if he ends up he's one of those guys that if he ended up with Shanahan and the 49ers, like he'd be very successful. So I want to just keep him in line and not turn the ball over, and just iron out the details of his game that have been the issue since he came in from USC. Like everyone knew he had turnover issues then. He has never been, like, aside from being able to stay on the field, he's never been able to really clean up his turnover situation, and it's because he's
he's never really had a good offensive system around him. He had Adam Gase as his head coach. Like there's no room for success. Look at what Ryan Tannehill did when he got away from Adam Gase, when he left Miami and went to Mike Vrabel.
I could do a full hour shitting on Adam Gase. I'm not even joking. I could talk for an hour about that guy. I hate him more than anyone else. He literally. Oh God. All right. Yeah. My last NFL thing, I wrote about this the other day, and it's the Eagles are unsure about Jalen Hurts. So what do the Eagles do in typical Eagles fashion? They go back 6 picks in the draft when we know that all the quarterbacks are most likely to be gone by 10. We got some Eagles fans here, but I want to know what one of our NFL guys has to say about it. What you think? Like, what are they doing?
They're going to take Kyle Trask. That's what they're going to do out of Florida, and it's going to be awful. They may take him in the 2nd round. I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense. The idea, which the rumors were that they wanted to move up to 3, but they wanted to get Zach Wilson and Zach Wilson only. And obviously the Jets doing a good job, putting smoke screens up. It's like, we may take Zach Wilson, we may not, we like some people in the organization are saying we like Sam Darnold, some aren't. It's all of that, it's the chess game that goes on behind the scenes that we get glimpses of because they leak stuff to the media. But at the end of the day, the Eagles are just a terribly run franchise. They may be, if they're not the worst, they're one of the worst. They're definitely up there with Houston. I'll say that in terms of how terrible that franchise is run and the production that comes and ruining good quarterbacks. But I don't know why they would trade out, because there's a great chance that picks 1 through 4 are quarterbacks, and then there go quarterbacks. And because you're going to have the number one is obviously going to be Trevor Lawrence, but then 2 through 4 could literally be a combination of Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance. And that's all depending if you also have someone like the Panthers, maybe even the Broncos try to trade up and nab that. Maybe even the Falcons. The Falcons may. I know a lot of people aren't sure about what the Falcons could do because they still have Matt Ryan. But like if I was the GM for them, you save 20 million in cap, not next season, but the season after that. If you cut Matt Ryan, you'll lose 20 million in dead cap like that season, but the next season you save 20 million. So it's like now would be the time to draft your heir apparent to Matt Ryan. So I could see them even trying to maybe leapfrog and take Zach Wilson or Justin Fields at number 2. It's tough to see who's going to go where in that next spot. I just don't see why the Eagles would move back. That's the thing. And sure, they got extra draft capital. They got 1 extra first round pick. Miami has first round picks to just hand out to everybody. They could be the Oprah of first round picks if they wanted to, and still have enough first round picks to draft solid starters for their team. It's crazy.
You're 100% right. I just briefly going back to the Jets thing about the smoke screens. It couldn't be more clear. I'm obviously a Jets fan. I'm super tapped into the beat reporters and everything that's going on. And one day you're getting Corey Davis saying that he's signs anticipating working with Sam Darnold, and then 3 days later you have 4 or 5 beat reporters saying that Zach Wilson's going number 2, and it's just like we don't know what the hell is going to happen, but it's just the smoke screens are crazy. I think I made it pretty clear. I as much as I don't Zach Wilson to me, like I'm very admittedly not a big college football guy. I did watch that BYU Coastal game wire to wire. And when you need to win the game, you need to throw the ball in the end zone. And he didn't do that. That to me is kind of like one of those, it's like you need to have a brain and just understand that, when you need to score a touchdown, the ball should most likely go in the end zone because people make tackles. All right. That's my NFL rant. We hit all the major sports, but one thing I do really want to talk to you about, and I think it's super interesting, and kind of like the other part of my show is I do little sports and I kind of get in like the niche shit. And specifically, I'm a big video game guy. I spend a lot of my time on Twitch. Jackson and I actually, our first content together was the NCAA video game like launch, and we talked about what we wanted to do. Yeah, I forget what we called it, the Vendetta.
Yeah, the wish list.
Yeah. So the first thing I learned from that is that I am not nearly as big of a video game guy as I thought I was, talking to you and Matt about it, but specifically you. So you are also like I would say of our YouTube channel, mostly like 85% of 90 of it percent is your content and what you do, whether you're doing the video game stuff or the NBA shorts, NFL shorts, whatever it may be, you're on it. Why do you invest so much time into YouTube, and how important do you think it is for our growth?
I think it's extremely important because that's the thing that has the immediate payout in a multitude of ways. So we're over 250 subscribers right now. And the goal, the first big milestone is to reach 1,000, because when you reach 1,000 subs, that's when you can start monetizing. And that's when the channel growth can really start. Like, you won't earn a whole lot to start out with, obviously, but you can interact and do things on YouTube that can put our brand, our site out there that we can't do right now. You can like polls and stuff that you can put up that random people will see. If there's like a little social area, I forget what it's called, that YouTube has. But it could be something as simple as we put up a poll that says, who's the MVP? Who's the NBA MVP? Who's your pick? And we could put up the options like Jokic, Harden, Embiid, LeBron, and other. And then we could say like comment, if you don't agree, comment like what you think. If someone interacts with that, then they're going to get recommended our videos. And then they get recommended our videos, they start watching, they subscribe, they are a subscriber, and they are a returning watcher, meaning views go up, subscribing numbers go up, and we benefit from it. So that's the real goal, is to try to get to 1,000. And honestly, I've put so much time into it pretty much because I have the means to do it, and no one else really did. And it's something that we need to do. And I play video games anyway, so why not just record myself playing like one of the first one that I did for the site was I did backyard football. So, and it was it was a nostalgic trip for me. So I was like, why not? And then now I've got like NFL head coach going on.
You have the most series in the history of YouTube.
It's crazy, dude. I sometimes lose track. I've got a new episode that Sophie got back to me that I'm going to be getting up today, Monday, as we're recording this. So hopefully I can get that out tonight. And then I'm pretty much to the end of it. I got to record some new stuff. So, but yeah, and I do it, like I said, because I have fun with it, and people have given me positive feedback on the site from it, like in the Slack. People seem to like it. The only hater I have is Trey with the head coach series, because I didn't make the moves that he would have, but my team still went 13-3 and we're in the playoffs. So
that's all that matters.
So obviously I'm doing something right. Now the cap situation, that's a completely different thing. So the first off season is going to be interesting to see if we can save some cap so we can sign our rookies. But I digress. I have a lot of fun with it, and I think that it's something that in the future, once we start getting more people on it, we've got a lot of plans and stuff for it, other things to do. There's stuff that I want to do that I've been experimenting with to try to get done, and it's just kind of becoming my thing. I've invested the most time into it. So, anytime we get new people on, I'm the one that's always like, hey, make sure to go subscribe to the channel, make sure to watch just like, a minute or two of something so the view counts, leave a like, because that YouTube likes the interaction and everything. And then it's like, who knows, maybe you listen to an episode of something that you really like and you stay in tune to it. Yeah, so it's just, I do it because I've invested all this time in it, so I might as well keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm a video game guy. I know you play a little bit of a different type of video game than I do. You're playing Fallout and Cyberpunk, and I'm more of like I would say like mainstream video game guy. I play like Call of Duty. I played Fortnite when it was big, and all that stuff. But so
I play everything.
When you pick your games, you said you play everything, but like what games do you like decide to make videos on, and like how do you do that? Because you obviously have all your sports series, and you've also done what was the recent one? You did Cyberpunk, and you also did I'm fucking sure.
I did some of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed, what you were streaming on Twitch.
But yeah, I did stream some Fallout on Twitch. I mean, it's just like I'm a huge gamer, and I just play all types of games. So like literally in one sitting, I can go, like if I have nothing to do, if it's a day that I've set aside where it's like I need to play some video games, I want to play some video games, I could literally go from a single player RPG to like a sports game, like like Madden or something, or 2K, and then friends will hop on Warzone later, and I'll hop on Warzone, and then maybe I get tired of Warzone and I want to go to something that I know and I love, so then I hop on Halo, and I play a ton of Halo behind the scenes. I've kind of been wanting to like record some Halo because listen, my favorite game mode in the world, it's SWAT on the Halo Reach maps, because the DMR, that single shot once you get to the head, it's beautiful, especially when it's just pop and you get the triple kill. Oh, it's so satisfying. It's the most satisfying thing in the world when you're getting headshots on SWAT.
Few questions. Have you heard about this Halo Battle Royale? And give me your thoughts on it. There's been a lot of rumblings, and we're almost on a year of hearing this bullshit. But do you like the idea of it? No. I don't know.
I don't know. I'd have to see what their take is on it, I guess, because initial reactions, it's another battle royale. I'm tired of battle royales.
Are you tired of battle royales?
Focus on the story and focus on regular multiplayer.
Are you really Are you really tired of battle royales? Because I think that it's the future. Maybe it's because I got a late introduction to it. I didn't really play H1 or I didn't really play Apex, anything like that. But
I played it for a while. I was really high on Battlegrounds back in the day. That was probably the one that I really played a lot of. And then I remember this is how far back that I played Fortnite. I remember Fortnite day one that it came available on the Xbox, downloading it on the Xbox. That's how long I remember that. I remember Fortnite when it wasn't even the battle royale mode. I remember Fortnite when it was the game type where it was like a base building game and you were fighting off hordes of zombies that they've kind of iterated. And just me personally, like I get it, and it's a huge money maker, and I'll never fault companies to do that. Just don't take time off, don't slack on regular multiplayer, and don't slack on the single player experience, which Call of Duty I think has done a great job. Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare was a fantastic game. I loved that game. I love the multiplayer. I love the story. And Warzone, I still play Warzone because I like hanging out with my friends, and I love doing it. But as for Halo, if they can make it cool and interesting and fun, then I'm all for it.
Okay, well, Call of Duty did slack on the Cold War multiplayer. It was fun, and they kind of said it was rushed or whatever, and their quick fix to that was to put in league play when the biggest complaint was skill-based matchmaking, and that's like I can do a whole another hour on Call of Duty and stuff, but it's funny you brought up the Fortnite thing. So I have one of my best friends. He was on Action Episode 2. Now he does video like designing for Twitch streams and stuff, but he's been a huge gamer his entire life. Played video games. Like he was a big Halo guy. He was playing like game battles, MLG. He was playing it all from like really young age. Like talking about like 7th grade, 6th grade, probably when like kids were going to sleep at 9 o'clock. This kid was up playing like wagers and all that stuff. Anyway, so he got me in on Fortnite really quickly. And for the coolest part about Fortnite, and it really revolutionized the games, I think, forever, is that it was free to play. Battle Royale and Warzone took the same idea. And when you just bring in that audience without shutting it off, people that aren't going to pay $60 for it, I think I could sell my Fortnite account for like thousands of dollars. I have like season 1 OG, like the original skins, and it's one of those things there. And it's just a game I was so bad at. Like the skill gap in that show, in that game is incredible. What it's turned into now is
it is, and it's crazy to go back to, because Fortnite, like season 1 and everything, like hardly anyone built. It was just like if you built, it was just like to give yourself some cover to get away. Like that was it. And then it's like even going back, because like it was the anniversary like a couple weeks ago of the huge stream where Ninja was with Drake,
March 17th. March 17th.
And so, and it's like, and it was like, it was showing video of even like just Ninja building, and it was slow compared to what it is today. Yeah. So like he was building like nicely and everything, but it is amateur compared to what you see like even Ninja, but like especially the top Fortnite streamers doing today, where they literally build to the top of the map in like 5 seconds. It's nuts.
Are you a Twitch guy? Do you watch Twitch, or you spend most of your time playing the games instead?
I used to watch a lot of Twitch, and then I got busy, so to where I can't really sit down and watch a stream that much. But I still have like streamers that I like keep tabs on. The two that I always watched since I was like so mainstream was Shroud and Dr. Disrespect. Those were the two that I always bounced back and forth. between.
Stroud's huge, and him going to Mixer kind of for everyone else, it ultimately kind of hurt Ninja's career, him going to Mixer and coming back because his following was not the same, and he had such a big like public fallout with Twitch. But Shroud handled it much better, and obviously he's now back on Twitch and pulling in crazy numbers. Yeah, I mean, like you said with the busy thing, I guess I'm just like kind of, it's my ADD talking, but whenever I'm doing anything on my desk, I have 1/3, unless I'm recording, 1/3 of my tab of my screen is got a Twitch stream going on. I watch Nick Merckx a lot, like mainstream, that type of stuff. But like all right, so what do you think the future for video games is do we keep going up? Does it go battle royale, or do we go more towards like competitive PvP, like CDL type stuff, like Call of Duty leagues? Is it going more towards leagues, or is it going more towards like anyone can win in these open online qualifiers?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I still see a lot of battle royale in the future, just because this happens with everything that gets big. Like zombies used to be the huge thing, and then literally for a decade we constantly got zombie games or survival type modes like that after its iteration in Call of Duty, after you have a couple of successful games that come out in the beginning. So that's the big trend that I see for a couple of years. But I also get the feeling of a trend of kind of like a return to like classic games. And what I mean by that is just it's games that kind of fall back on things that worked in the past. You see like a lot of experimental type of games, something like a Fallout 76, something like, the past couple of iterations of Call of Duty leading up to Modern Warfare. They all tried something different, and they didn't really stick. But then they go back and they do something like a Modern Warfare, and people love it, and it's praised, and people are more than happy to shell out money for it. Like there's already talks about the next Call of Duty. It's rumored to be going back to World War II. And
yeah.
I would thoroughly enjoy that. Now, I enjoy the setting of the last Call of Duty that was set in World War II, but I didn't care much for the gameplay, in a sense that I think that now that they have their newer engines, the next generation of graphics, I think they could do a really good job with this next one if they threw it back to World War II. But I'm also just a big single player guy, so I just don't want the single player games to die. I love Bethesda, although they kind of they're on thin ice because of Fallout 76, and same with CD Projekt Red with the terrible launch that was Cyberpunk. But Bethesda's got huge games coming out. They have a new IP called Starfield coming out, which should blow everything out of the water. It's going to be amazing. And then of course the Scroll 6 is probably like 5 or 6 years away. Still, I always made a joke that in high school, I made this joke in high school. Okay, this is how long it's been. Okay, because Skyrim came out in 2011, and this was around 2013 and everything. Oh, I know. And it's 10 years. It's going on 10 years that Skyrim's been around. It was 2011 when Skyrim dropped. It's 2021, people. I used to joke. I was like, man, I'm gonna have a kid by the time the next Elder Scrolls comes around. I've got one now, and it's 10 years later. So now the joke is I'm gonna have 2 kids probably by the time Elder Scrolls rolls around. He may be old enough. It's gonna be like his 10th birthday, and I'm gonna be like, son, here is your copy of the Elder Scrolls 6, brand new.
Yeah, I love the direction that we're going in with the video game type stuff. I know you've been the predominant guy, and I do kind of want to. It's something I'm very interested in doing. I've talked to a few people about bringing back doing an MLB The Show type series, because that's coming out on Xbox for the first time, and now with the boom in Twitch and like the ability to stream, I can just stream from my laptop. From my Xbox. I don't need a gaming PC or a streaming PC. I know you have I know you're a PC guy, but it's becoming more and more feasible.
Another
thing
thing
I want to do.
Another thing that I could see more remasters too, because there seems to be a lot more remasters. I know there's a Command and Conquer remaster that just came out recently. One of my favorite games from my childhood, Rome Total War. I love the Total War series. They're big, grand military strategy games for the PC. That one's getting a remaster. I can't tell you how many hours I played that game. That game essentially got me into the genre. And then eventually spilling over into games like Sid Meier's Civilization, Age of Empires, stuff like that. But that's getting a remastered and it's coming out next month. And I'm 100% having to buy it because it's the nostalgia trip, man. Nostalgia is powerful, especially when it comes to video games. Then the rumors of the rumors of there being like Fallout remasters, and like Knights of the Old Republic remasters, which are some of the greatest RPGs to ever be made. Not just because they're Star Wars, but because of game mechanics and storytelling. They're amazing games. So I could see a lot of remasters coming in the future too, more so than what there are now.
My only remastered like kind of debate or like hold up is that it's specifically with Call of Duty is when they remaster their games, it's normally like a half-ass effort. They throw in a new gun and like they call it that, and we miss out on another year of a great title. However, it also goes in the other side. With the other side of it is that when you put out a title every single year, things get like a little iffy. You tend to cut corners and become a little bit lazy. And Call of Duty did so much this year with Warzone, and then dropping Cold War was kind of just like, just new integration of guns. I am curious to see how Warzone kind of lives up to the hype. They need to do a lot of, soul searching at Activision, Ravensoft, whatever the software is that runs it right now, because the cheaters and the blatant shit has been going on for far too long.
It's bad.
When you can't have a competitive scene, like the reason that Fortnite is still so successful, aside from the free to play, is that people are still tuning in to watch their major events on Twitch, YouTube, whatever the case may be, because you can have a competitive scene. The competitiveness in Call of Duty is already shrunk by so much because there's just shooting back and positioning, and so much of that has to do with like luck. But you take that out and you have freaking cheaters running around the map for Donsk, fucking clicking your head and you're dead.
Or there's
not so much
I
fun.
know. Or there's things like it was like the stem glitch, whatever it was called.
The stem, exactly. There's so many other ways, like
where you're just stimming it while you're sitting in the. Yeah, I know. It's just there's so many bugs and so many things wrong with it, and it's like they take one step forward and they fix one thing, but then it's like all these old problems are back now, or things become unbalanced because you try to balance one weapon and now one weapon is completely OP, or now a weapon that was sort of kind of balanced is completely broken now. That's why I stopped playing Rainbow Six Siege, is because they tried to balance it out and it's gotten to the point to where it's like even just regular operators are garbage. There's only like two or three to really run with, and if you try to run on the competitive scene on ranked, you can veto or block what operators can be used during the match, and so people will just vote them out and they won't use them.
Yeah, I watched my first little introduction to Rainbow Six the other day. And the one thing that really was confusing me was you can just like shoot through every wall, and like what's the point of having walls if everyone you can be wall bang through and you can die through it?
It's supposed to be realistic, and there's a thing where it's like every operator gets like two, basically it's just like giant like metal, I don't even know what you call it. You stick it on the wall. It's a giant metal wall that you put up against the wall. People can't shoot through it, but there's ways to get around it. Yeah, and there's ways to get around it. There was an operator I really like to play as. He was very cheesy. He was called Maverick, and he had a really nice rifle. And his gimmick was he had like a little blowtorch, and you could cut holes into the walls through the reinforcements. And if you got the angles just right, you could peek into the rooms where they couldn't see you, and you just start one tapping everybody. and eventually it got to the point where that was getting blocked on the competitive scene too. So I had to stop playing with him on competitive.
Jackson's one of the most versatile people here. I don't know if you guys stuck around this long. We went from full-blown sports to full-blown video games. It's my kind of guy. At JLaw1995 on Twitter. You can find him on the Tandemonium podcast. You can find him on Toast Time. You can find him on the blog. You can find him on the YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like the videos. To just kind of go circling back to what you were saying about the Slack, is that like there are 43 people in random, 45 people in general, whatever the case may be. Like, why there aren't 45 likes on every single YouTube video is kind of beyond me. I know I make sure I check it at least every day and watch at least the first 45 seconds, but that's whatever the point may be. Things are going that way. We're putting up a lot of content. The NBA shorts and the NFL shorts are doing well. Obviously, your Maximum Football Series is broken company records. Jackson, you're welcome whenever on the show, especially if we're gonna do video games. I'm down to do video games forever.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate you for letting me on, man.
Of course.
A lot of fun.
All right, everyone. That's going to do it for this edition of Kriegs Korner. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at AdamKrieger1997, at JLaw1995. Enjoy the rest of your day.